best to.
Yes, great job.
We tried, Terry. We tried.
They look good.
All right, Terry. We are a poor facsimile.
All right. So Jonathan, I'll take that as a motion to approve the minutes. I have a second.
I'll second.
All in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Great.
Aye.
Don't know if we have any public comment.
We do have one public comment.
Okay.
I will allow them to talk.
Hi, it's Bill Stableford. Can you hear me?
Hi, Bill.
Hi,
How are
Bill.
you
Yeah.
doing?
Good
Hi,
evening. I just want, as a follow-up to the two emails that I forwarded to your commission, I just wanted to let you know that since the January 11 silent period has passed, I have been advised that since I'm neither a town employee nor a town official, I'm allowed to answer factual questions, but I'm no longer in a position to advocate it at a public meeting such as this. So if you folks have questions later, I'll be happy to answer any factual information. But there'll be a limit of, I will not be able to advocate either for or against this proposal. That's all I wanted
Thanks,
to tell you.
Bill.
Thank you.
Bill,
Thanks,
I
Bill.
appreciate that. And while we have you there for a moment, we did share additionally the link to the public information session that I think was last week.
January 5.
What's that?
It was January 5 was the last one. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
And I have been. It was so informative and lengthy that I actually was kind of watching it over a period of time. But I noticed when I went to watch it today that it was no longer at that link. Do you know if there is a new link to that?
I don't, but I do know that Peggy redacted some of the slides and information on that video recording to comply with the silent period that started January 11.
So maybe the video has been removed at this point.
I would check with Lauren on that, and
Okay.
but that's all I know at this time, Ryan.
Okay. Thanks, Bill. I appreciate you being here. And to your point, we are in the quiet period, so pretty hesitant to have any robust discussion about the plan for the community center. Appreciate all the information that you sent over. I believe everyone has it. If anyone has any factual questions for Bill, if you'd like to ask, otherwise, perhaps questions could be done on a one-on-one basis, not in your capacity as an EDC member, but as a resident of the town. Any questions or?
I
No?
have a question as this is the first quiet period I'm a part of as the EDC member. Can you explain how that might pertain to us, lest I make a mistake?
Yeah, well, as an EDC member, we are considered town officials, so we also have to comply with the quiet period, which essentially means that we cannot advocate for or against any plan as a town official within the quiet period. And
I thought it just meant you couldn't do it using town facilities or town property. I mean, we could still write a letter to the editor, correct or not?
you can write a letter to the editor as a private citizen, not as a town official.
So
And you
the
wouldn't-
EDC endorse or
Right,
What's
so
that,
in the construct of your EDC meetings, you wouldn't endorse or critique the proposals, but once the meeting is over and you're all private citizens again, you're free to do whatever you want so long as you don't use town resources to do it.
Yeah,
So yes,
well,
you can write letters to the editor as a private citizen. You're not giving up your right to free speech.
and Bruce, that's during the quiet period, correct?
Correct.
Yeah. Had this not been during the quiet period, since my tenure on EDC, we have in fact either supported or been against certain projects prior to the quiet period. But now that we are in that period, that's not an option.
Right, so you would not take, you guys as a commission would not take a position.
Mm,
So I assume obviously that if we write a letter, we don't identify ourselves as a member of EDC. We just use our name.
Correct. You're speaking for yourself.
Okay.
And I hope that everybody watched that video when I sent it out on Sunday, since it's now been removed. So I don't know, Bruce, do you know, is there plans
So
to?
anything that's in the public record, as it was explained to us by town council, anything that's already in the public record should stay in the public record and people should be able to reference it. It's really, the quiet period pertains to new statements and new
Absolutely. Yeah, no, I
activities.
was just wondering if that presentation that was made on the 5th was going to be made available again for those that haven't had an opportunity to watch it yet.
I didn't realize that it had been taken down, so I'll have to follow up with Peggy tomorrow and find out what the story is with that.
Okay. Yeah, because I was just getting to the good part, I feel like.
No,
And that was on YouTube? You couldn't find it on YouTube anymore?
Yeah, it was on YouTube, and then when I reloaded it today, it said that the video had been removed. And then I tried to find to see if there was a new link on the town website, but I couldn't find it, so.
Yeah, no, I mean, it was a public meeting. It's in the public record. And we're not erasing history here, so it should be available somewhere.
Okay, maybe it's just being updated and it'll come out tomorrow.
Okay.
Okay, well, I do feel, I feel a little bit, I was a little disappointed we couldn't have a more robust discussion. And especially since there was an economic development component to the presentation and the plan as it's been discussed over the last several years. So I hope in the future that the Economic Development Commission might be invited to participate in some of these discussions as they're happening, and not have to, not to count on us to always have to be the ones to interject ourselves. I did see during the presentation that economic development was pointed out several times in the presentation. So in the future, hopefully future committees will ask us to participate in that conversation. Speaking of, though, of being asked to participate in the conversation, we did have Dr. Cook visit us at our last meeting where the school renewal plan was presented. I'm happy that we were able to have that meeting in person at town campus. I thought the presentation was good. We are also in the quiet period of that proposal at this point. So certainly the same rules would apply. I did have some additional kind of follow-up with the superintendent. And can you all still hear me?
no, I lost you
No.
there.
It's sort of muffled.
we got quiet.
Hi, can you hear me?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And so anyhow, I did share those thoughts from the superintendent with the with this group, and Terry, I also sent them to you if we feel that we want to enter them into our minutes. I don't know if anyone had any factual questions or comments on
No,
the
I
superintendent.
thought your questions were good follow-up questions, Ryan. I didn't really have any others for him, and I don't see any reason not to include them in the minutes. I think they're good salient points.
Great. Yeah, so factually, I thought the presentation was very good. So we'll see how that comes. And Bruce, the other item on the referendum, will that be the sale of Island Avenue rather? Is there three
Correct.
items, three questions?
Right, we did that Tuesday night. We moved all three forward for referendum. And that contract should be available on the town website if it's not already there momentarily. So
Bruce,
you'll
what
be able to
was there
vote.
any, what was the voting on all three issues? Were they separate votes, and what was the view of the Board of Selectmen on those three
They
items?
were three separate votes, and they will be three separate questions on the referendum. The votes were all unanimous. So I think, we've been talking about all of them for a very, very long time. We have all, at different points, made our positions known, as individuals, and as a board, we all voted for them. So I think these are good, actionable questions for the taxpayers to now decide.
Great, okay.
Good.
Great. Okay, well, since we can't have too much more discussion, we'll move right along in the agenda, and I'll turn it over to Sherry. And maybe you can provide an update of the last couple of months of all of your hard work.
Sure. Thank you. Hi, everybody. Happy New Year. So most recently, I've been immersed in mask distribution. As you know, the town has received a large quantity of masks and test kits. And so I've been asked to organize distribution of masks to businesses. So used the chamber platform to send out a request for the businesses to let me know how many masks they would like. Not knowing at the time that they were N95s, I thought that they were just the paper surgical masks. And so people were ordering, hundreds of them. I had to sort of revise that and pretty much allow people or businesses to get like 40 because they were N95. So today was the first actual distribution of that. I used the chamber office for a couple of hours for people to come by and pick them up. And then tomorrow I'll be distributing them from town hall. But the businesses are very appreciative that the town is offering them masks that they can use for their employees and for their customers. So that's been going really well. A little time consuming, but going really well. In December, we welcomed a couple of new businesses. Chase Bank had a ribbon cutting along with the Chamber of Commerce on the 10th of December, and Jay McLaughlin, a new retailer, opened their doors and celebrated a ribbon cutting on the 2nd of December through the Chamber, of course. We also hosted our Attorney General, Tong, wanted sort of a meet and greet or a tour with the businesses. So on December 17th, Peggy and I walked him around downtown, and we stopped at a couple of stores. We stopped at the movie theater to see the renovations, and just did that sort of meet and greet. WTNH Channel 8 was there. I'm sure you probably saw this or read about it already, but that was just sort of a meet and greet. I've been spending some time with John Michael Parker on tourism issues. There was a forum in Hartford that he was part of that I attended, and then also visited with him with a board that I serve on, Connecticut Tourism Coalition, to see how we can do a little bit better with tourism in the state in general. I've been working with the chamber, of course, visiting businesses, getting to know some of them because obviously I'm kind of new. So spending some time with Michelle and Kathy doing that. I started a Facebook page, Visit Madison. So we have like 114 followers. We're starting slow, but in the last 28 days, we have our exposure has been to 2,000 people. So that's been really nice. I need to get out and do some photography of the town, so I have something pretty to post. Most of the posting so far has been me sitting, at Hammonasset having lunch and just taking a photo there, or the holiday gift guide that I put together. I was promoting through that platform as well. Building a database, as I mentioned the last time we met, slowly but surely, of businesses. And this mask distribution has helped me with that, because people are responding to me with their mask requests. So I'm able to capture the business email addresses. The last time we chatted, I had inquired about purchasing Constant Contact, and I think it was Bruce who suggested, checking with the town to see if we could use the town's email platform. And I did that. They've set me up, so we do have that access. We don't need to go through Constant Contact. But first, I need a good database to be able to send emails out. So working on that. Yes. Yeah.
I'm sorry to interrupt, but I don't know if there are a number of local photographers you might want to connect with. So Matt Parthasarthi put together a table book of Madison recently, and Mark Feiner posts all the time on
Thank
Shoreline Outdoors. That might be worth having their names attached, and you probably have a huge number of things to pick through.
Thank you so much for that. I have done that in Guilford, made friends with a couple photographers that allow me to use their images royalty free, maybe with a call out. So thank you for that. That is something that I will definitely do. A couple of things for you, just so you know that the 2022-2023 budget has been submitted for the EDC to the finance office. They actually just uploaded it themselves, flat funded to what it was in last year. So if that's a discussion, Ryan, that you want to have with the group to see if you want to make any changes to your budget, there's.
Yeah. Do
Go
we
ahead.
know what was the amount, Sherry? Do you have that? Because I do remember we did plan for a couple of studies at some point, Mark, with the wastewater thing. And I can't remember if we ended up just taking that out of the budget and hoping that it was going to come through the
Yeah, I thought
stimulus
that we
rescue
didn't
fund.
have the size of those costs was not nearly, we couldn't nearly be covered by our budget. So I thought it was going to be in the request via the town budget.
Right.
And I have heard Peggy talk about a wastewater study that's been funded some other place, not in EDC budget. But to answer your question, Ryan, your budget is $13,979. I don't have a breakdown of individual items. I do know that we pay for chamber membership. I think that there's going to be a cost to the library for the camera, the webcam that we have up there. Other than that, I really don't know what you guys spend your money on. So, so right now the budget for next year has been submitted for $13,979.
Yeah, and I think that what we've done in years past is to try and develop some initiatives, and really in this time of the year. The budget goes into effect on July 1st, obviously, so we have some time to consider some special projects. It's not a lot of money; it goes by pretty quickly. In the past, if you all remember, we've done signage at Hammonasset that is still up. We had talked about enhancing that signage with basically more signs, as you're exiting the park. So that's a possibility. We used a portion of our funding 2 years ago for the lights, for that one time kind of light up Madison, and then the town created a second, a budget outside of ours to do that ongoing. I think, we need to discuss our continued involvement in that project, or if a town department kind of take that over. So if there are things that we want to consider to use within that, the ongoing costs we have, in addition to the chamber membership, I think we pay into Rex, Sherry, as well. And that, I can't remember how much that is. I think we share that maybe with the planning department. I have to ask Stacy about that.
I can.
But we have that ongoing cost. We have a few other somewhat nominal costs, and then we have the cost of our recording secretary as well. So those are kind of the ongoing things. So perhaps for the next meeting, unless people have some ideas they want to discuss now, we can bring those ideas to the next meeting. Sherry, what I'm assuming Guilford is having similar conversations. What are some of the things, I know that they've done signage for the past couple of years. Are there other initiatives that Guilford's doing that might be interesting for us to consider?
I will give that some thought. Wayfinding signs are something that we're doing in Guilford right now, and that's something that Peggy has mentioned that possibility for you guys to work on. Erin and I have talked about that, and she's done some research on what's been done in the past when Dave was there. So I think there's some work that has been done, and if we wanted to pick up that, we could certainly work with it. Right now in Guilford, we're using ARP funds to finish our signage project. We did not put money in our budget. We actually had a committee that went out and privately fundraised for our sign projects. So that's something to consider. The Light Up Madison is something, I don't know if the Board of Selectmen is going to put that in their budget again this year, or if we need to, but we need to think about that. You know, other things that we budget for in Guilford, which we haven't been doing because of COVID, are things like breakfasts or lunches where we get the business community together with maybe some, you know, SBA officials or SBDC, you know, all the acronyms from different organizations that work with businesses. So that's something that we've done in the past. Business awards, that, you know, we could do something like that at those events as well, honoring the longest, you know, business or oldest business in town kind of thing. In Guilford, we pay for memberships to different things, you know, CEDIS, which is the Connecticut Economic Development Association, IEDC, you know, those kinds of things we pay for memberships. I don't know if Madison has done that under Dave's tenure. I don't know. If that's,
I think we're a member of CEDIS.
okay, so that might be an Erin's budget. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, keep it there.
It would be nice if we could come, you know, one of the really great things about Light Up Madison is sort of how it had some real positive vibe and then became, you know, hopefully something that's in the town in perpetuity. I wonder if we could put our creative juices together and come up with something else that's, as, you know, promoting Madison's vibrancy in a new way with some of that money, you know, so, some kernel that then grows. I think those are the kinds of things that for an organization like ours are really meaningful. I feel like that's actionable stuff and it feels good, and, you know, it's kind of avoids there's no real, with all due respect to the light pollution, it's really largely non-controversial when all is said and done, when we do something that's, you know, just shining a nice, you know, improving the focus of Madison or making Madison a focus for other people. I think I love that about this. So if anybody had any brilliant ideas, I'd put my 2 cents behind that.
Yeah, I think it's a good idea. I know that, and maybe we can have an idea session at some point, but, you know, we've talked about everything from film festivals to, you know, other kinds of like winter events that, you know, generate some activity. You know, I think that partially, you know, we want to figure out long-term what the role is of EDC in creating event-oriented type things, and whether that's something that we, you know, want to help cultivate and turn over to the chamber, or, you know, somebody that might be better tooled to kind of handle events, you know, or, you know, maybe we do want to have an event that we run.
It'll be fun, but, you know, with the new cinema, that was kind of, film festival is kind of cool. Yeah. I don't know. I just think those kinds of things that we, you know, anytime you seed a project and then let it grow, and I think that has, even if we don't get any credit for it, which is totally like, that's not why we're doing it, but I think those things help Madison in a really tangible way.
Yeah. Yep. I definitely agree.
I've been, just along those lines, I've been approached by John Mathers about Light Up Madison and taking that to another level. And without knowing specifics, you know, I need to have another chat with him to talk about it. But I guess on Nantucket, I think it is, or Martha's Vineyard, one of them, they have a huge winter sort of festival with lights and all kinds of other things. And he sort of has visions of doing something like that. You unmuted, Mark. Do you know what I'm talking about?
Yeah, I think it's on Nantucket's The Stroll. I think we could do something probably similar in non-COVID times, maybe, when we could have more events. We're well suited to do that, to do a restaurant weekend, to do a we have great, not only beaches, but there's great parks, like just, there's a lot of things we could do where we had three or four highlighted seasonal events that could, I think, draw a lot of people, draw a lot of attention, and just build community.
Yeah, so lots of potential there. Just moving on from that, Ryan, from the budget, unless you want to continue talking about that, no. Two
fine.
other things, just quickly. The EDC does have the ability to appoint someone to represent you on the new marijuana committee that's just been established. So do we have a volunteer from the EDC who would like to sit on that committee?
Dr. Stein is shaking his head, so yes.
No, I can't. It's a troubling conflict of interest because of my profession, and it's not something I can comfortably do.
I can do
Sorry.
it.
Mark?
Yeah, well, I'd like to know what it entails, but if it's representing us in our
Too late.
positions.
Too late.
Okay, sure. Depending on what the commitment level is, and what, do you know a little bit more, Sherry? Could you share with us about?
So maybe Bruce can share because he's chairing it.
Oh, great. Okay.
So our goal is to imagine what life with legalized marijuana in Madison looks like. There's a couple of different layers to it. There is, of course, the business side of it, the grower and the retailer side. And so that's, I think, the natural fit for the EDC is to consider what position we want to take as a town on those two types of businesses. And then we have a lot of public policy and public education things that we need to address and get on top of. So we'll have youth and family services involved. We'll have the school district involved, and the public safety side of it, of course. So we're going to cover a lot of ground. But in the end, what we're aiming for is providing the Board of Selectmen a recommendation on policies to enact and actions to take with regards to this.
Great.
And some of those may end up being ordinances. I don't know.
Hey, Bruce, is DPH going to be represented at some level? Is Trent invited? Do you know?
Public health?
Yeah.
So we've got a bunch of departments that are liaising, including human resources, because we're an employer, right? So we've got we've got policies as an employer that we're going to have to come up with, and so Trent is a resource to the committee, not a voting member per se.
Okay. Thanks.
Great. So I'll let Lauren know, Mark, that you volunteered. Thank you for that. And then the final thing that I have, Ryan, and I don't know if I can share my screen, if I have those permissions or not, but a developer came in. Of course, I first need to open up the file. A developer came in to talk about parcels that are down by Hammonasset, down by Cohen's Bagels, and interested in doing multifamily where it's zoned commercial, right? And so this is something that I wonder if the EDC has ever thought about a study or would be interested in doing something. Can you see my screen? Can you see this map?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yes.
So, apparently commercial real estate is not as, in need or desirable right now, but housing is, multifamily housing. And so he's questioning whether or not, he should put forward a proposal to change the zoning on this. And so Aaron and I were chatting, and I just wondered if, A, you've ever talked about this part of town, and B, if this is something that you would be interested in doing a study on. So I'll stop there and just see, if there's any history that I should know about in terms of this part of town.
We have talked about that part of town. especially those red areas that the state owns. We were wondering if they would ever be willing to relinquish control of those. But yeah, what would be the scope of a study?
I don't know. This is just something that came to my attention yesterday, late yesterday. And so, the question is from the developer, should he try to request this, to be multifamily? And, and so that's an economic development question. Do you want multifamily in the middle of a commercial zone on Boston Post Road?
The parcels he's talking about are the two green ones on Post Road?
Correct. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, so we discussed, I believe, specific, are those the parcels that were owned by the Dowler family?
I think so.
They did, and so that's John Matthews. He presented with them to us 2 or 3 years ago on these exact parcels to do
Right.
multifamily, and I believe that went to, I thought that, I'm not sure if they got the zoning changed, but I know that in there, he's on that, on the Cottage Road, maybe it's the north side of Cottage Road, but I think there is an opportunity to do multifamily there. So I would recommend that they review and just make sure that they might already be able to do some of what they want. I don't know that they need a study.
I don't know, Mark, if they did get I don't know if they went all the way through that process, but you're right. I do remember talking about this. I don't know if the Dollars still own that property or not.
Was it the same two exact parcels that we've already?
It was that area.
I think so.
I thought it was on the other side of, I didn't know it was right on Post Road. Okay.
Yeah, that's that vacant lot that's between Post Road and Cottage to the west of there's the Cohen Bagels building, then there's the Cranium
That
building,
white.
which is the white one with pillars, and then there's vacant land there.
Right.
I believe it
Oh,
But I don't know what
you're
this
developing that a
developer is.
couple of years ago. They started doing something there. Did they clear it? Yeah, they cleared it a couple of years ago.
they cleared that, and there's multifamily going on to the northeast where that's the
Yeah, that's the Women's
the
Hope
Dollars,
for
yeah.
Hope. Well, it was
Right.
Dollar. They sold it to the Hope something. I can't remember the name of it.
Okay.
The nonprofit.
So is the question, do we in principle endorse the idea of multifamily home zoning there as opposed to business only zoning? Was that the
I
question?
think the question, Jonathan, is would we support doing some sort of study? And that was what I was asking, what the scope of that study might entail. I think that's the question is, would we support basically trying to get additional information? I think personally, I don't know that I would be able to answer that question right now without additional information.
Yeah, I second that thought. I mean, if the question is, would we support an economic impact study, or would we support preliminary studies in changing? I guess I don't know enough about what all the different steps would entail and where we would be a linchpin.
I think, Sherry, perhaps you can let Aaron know that we're interested in some sort of, whether it's an economic impact study or gathering additional information, from other communities that maybe have had similar zone changes. We would want to do that in coordination with the Planning and Zoning Commission. So I'm assuming we would conduct a study together or research together. Because they're ultimately the ones that would be they would make this decision.
Yeah, and I just wanted to bring to your attention today, because I just learned about this yesterday and we were meeting today, and a little history for my edification, is helpful. Anything that I can learn. And, to put housing in the middle of a commercial district, I think is an economic development issue, and that we should be talking about. But I'll get with Aaron. We'll talk about a little bit more, and we can, revisit this. There's no rush. I just wanted to talk to you about it today.
Yeah, and just to be clear, I believe you can, in a commercial zone, you can put housing, it just can't be on the first floor. And I believe what the question, what they were trying to get changed was first floor commercial and density. So that whole area, I believe you could have multifamily, not on the first floor on the south side of Cottage Road. On the north side, there's multifamily, and at the corner of Mill Road and Cottage to the left, which would be the west on your picture there, where there's an 18 unit of partially affordable project going in right now that initially wasn't approved, but then I believe it's
Well,
called the,
it's
It is?
not, yeah, I don't think it's, I'm not so sure that's gonna go forward, Market. They were in front of, I think wetlands 2 nights ago.
oh, okay. But back to that housing issue, which is more of a planning and zoning, but it is economic development. So we
I feel like
should just discuss it more, because we have such a shortage percentage wise of affordable housing that developers we might not want the path that they might choose to go. If we don't design policy that's gonna allow some of these projects to go through, I guess would be the point.
Yeah,
Thank you. So that's really all I had, Ryan.
okay, great. Well, thanks, Sherry. Any old business? No. I had one thing under new business because it's January and we're supposed to be electing our officers for each January. I think we don't always do that. I want to make a point of doing it this year. I think I'm going to not do chairman for the upcoming term. I definitely want to stay on and continue to serve on the commission, but I think it's worthwhile to try and get some fresh thoughts and fresh blood into the commission. So definitely want to continue to support and work for the commission, but hopeful that someone might be interested in taking on the chair. And I don't know if it's something that we have to definitely decide tonight, but if there's somebody that's excited about it, I'm looking at Mark. Mark is you already volunteered tonight, so you think you're done.
Yep, I did my job tonight. Thank you.
Yeah.
Mark would get my nomination if I were making a nominating speech.
And Jonathan, you
there
did
you go.
mine. So
I would
there you
second
go.
that.
Okay, Mark.
Well,
But yeah, so I don't know if there's anyone that wants to nominate somebody like that may be willing to actually do it, or somebody that has an interest in doing it. I know Eric is not here this evening, so want to be respectful to. We could elect him chair, for example. You know, that's what happened. He didn't come, so if we could.
yeah.
But yeah, so I'll turn it over to the group for some discussion if anybody has any interest or ideas.
I have interest, but I have to be honest. I feel so ignorant. I feel like I'm still such a neophyte that I do not think I'd be the best person for the job. Someday,
But it's been 2 years, Jonathan, already.
Yeah,
It's
I'm
been
not buying
like-
that argument. I'm not buying that
it's been
argument,
like
John.
3 months of actual like time, and the rest of the time was COVID time. Like,
Yeah.
I mean, I will do if it ends up being nobody will do it. I will do it. But I hope there's somebody who's more
second that.
enthusiastic that. Yeah, wait, you second that? Like you'll do it if nobody else will do it?
No, I second you saying that you'll
Yeah,
by default, you know.
by default. I should have violated my partnership agreement and served on the cannabis committee, and then you'd be stuck with
Yeah.
Right.
Too late. Too late.
too late. Yeah, I mean, I will do it reluctantly, but I will do it if nobody else is at all interested.
Is there anyone that's more excited than doing it reluctantly? If not, I guess, beggars can't be choosers.
I mean, I have no problem. I mean, Ryan, if you're stepping down out of some nobility, I think you've done a great job. So I have no,
Thanks.
Yeah,
no, and I'm not going to go anywhere. So I mean, I certainly can support you in terms of information or whatever.
All right.
But yeah, so
well, if that's the deal that I can count on you when I'm and you'll let me know when I'm missing an opportunity, I will do it less than reluctantly.
okay, good. We've enhanced it. All right, someone want to make a nomination?
I know, I know, Jonathan.
All right, second,
I think that's representative of how clearly
Second.
nobody really wants to do it. It's how quickly they
All in
nominated
favor?
me.
yeah. All in favor? Aye.
Aye.
All right, and then in the same
Thanks for
term,
stepping
I'm
up,
gonna-
Jonathan.
Yeah, thank you, Jonathan.
You're welcome.
In the same, we had the Mark as secretary and Lisa as vice chair. I'll nominate the two of them for their continued role.
Second.
Second,
All in favor?
Aye.
aye.
All right, good. Excellent. Jonathan,
Thank you,
it's all yours.
Ryan. Thanks, Ryan. You've done a great
Well,
job.
Thank you, Ryan, for your
Thank
service.
you, Ryan.
Absolutely.
It's amazing how fast a decade flies by.
Wow.
Wow, that's crazy.
Yeah.
That is crazy. Well, okay, so that was all our new business and all our old business. I don't think we have anything else on the agenda unless I'm missing my first opportunity here.
I
No,
think
I'd
that
say
was
the only
it.
thing on old business was that Justin, he sent some notes about Light Up Madison.
Oh, yeah.
If
Yeah,
anyone's-
I thought they were
his-
very good. I really kind of
Yeah.
agree with them on everything. And I like the yellow lights. I think just on the lampposts, a little, I think they were good suggestions.
Yep,
okay. So should we move to put those in our minutes? Can we add Justin's commentary on Light Up Madison in his absence to our minutes?
I think,
Anybody?
Sounds good, can we? Sounds-
yes, I think we
I think
can.
so.
Yeah, I would say why not?
Second,
Let's move to include those. All those in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Okay. All right. Any other business? Anybody have any post-meeting public comment? I see that Bill and Paul Sprague are still in the audience.
Yeah, I just want to raise up on your radar, the Board of Selectmen are going to be taking up the topic of short-term rentals in Madison. And I do believe there's an economic development component to that. So, the town has got a long history of renting properties, academic in the winter and shorter term in the summer. With the technology of VRBOs and all of that, the technology of renting has really outpaced our local policy on it. And in some places it's not working, and we've got a fair amount of unhappy residents. And then I think we've got a fair amount of very happy residents with it because it's earning money. But nevertheless, it is a topic that we'll be taking up probably after budget season, I'm guessing. I think bandwidth is going to start to get pretty narrow here and focused on the budgets now that we have the referendum questions behind us. But we'll be very interested to hear the EDC's perspective on that as we move that forward. There is some talk about setting up another committee. I'm personally not advocating for that. I think we have the resources in-house to frame the what's going on and to also propose some workable solutions as a starting point for the discussion. So we'll see. And Sherry and Aaron and I have had some very, very casual conversation. Actually, I'm not going to use the word plural. It's single. We had a very casual conversation about how that might move forward. So, anyways, be on notice. This is going to be a topic for discussion in the coming months.
Thanks, Bruce.
Interesting.
Can you either send us the link or send me, and I'll send it to everybody, the link for the current policy as it stands for short-term rentals, so we can have some background?
I don't think
There is none?
I don't think
Yeah.
There's none. Okay. All right. Well, that makes it easy.
Interesting to see how that develops. It's been a hot topic for a number of years across the country now, and it's a slippery slope as far as precedent setting goes.
really is.
Hey, Bruce, if you
Right.
remember, we did, when Tom was first selectman, we did have several meetings, I remember with Dave, on this topic. I don't know if anything ever came with it with planning and zoning, but it definitely was discussed.
Yeah, no, nothing ever came of it. Quite frankly, I think everybody's a little afraid to take it up as a topic, because it gets pretty complicated pretty quickly. So my hope is that we find a happy medium, that we won't go to either extreme. And certainly the plan of conservation and development is rightfully should pick this up as a discussion as well. So it's just fortunate happenstance that we've got that work will be starting in 2022. I think, is it 22 or 23 for the plan of conservation and development?
I thought it was this year.
This year,
This
2022.
year, yeah.
Yeah.
That's what I thought.
Yeah.
So we don't have a policy or an ordinance.
Okay. Interesting. Are the complaints largely that? Well, what are the complaints at this point? What are some of the like thematic components of complaints about
So
it?
I think if I had to pick a theme, it would be people purchased homes in what they thought were neighborhoods, not in tourist areas. And with the VRBO and the Airbnb, there are some very, very short-term, weekend type of rentals. And depending on the clients, the houses can be a little more full than they should be. They can be a little more vibrant in the community, in the neighborhood than the neighbors would like. So it's
So this could be controlled through like noise ordinance enforcement or capacity enforcement. That kind of
Licensing,
the magic word, right? If you put a rule in place, you then have to have the mechanism to enforce it. And where does that fall?
Right.
Do we tap the police department to become that enforcement agency? And are they staffed to do it? And are they equipped to do it? I don't really know how this is all going to shake out. I just am hopeful that we can find a solution that is good enough for everybody. Probably won't be a solution that makes everybody happy, but if everybody can live with it, then we'll call it a success.
Yeah, understood. Well, thank you. We'll keep our ears posted. I have one other piece of old or new business, which is Ryan. You have to send me an email with a list of your responsibilities and duties that I can
Sherry will
use
keep,
as-
Sherry will keep you in line. Don't worry.
Okay, is that it?
Yeah.
It's number one.
Yeah,
Listen to Sherry.
Sherry's one.
Yeah. Yeah,
Okay.
I
keep you
will, Jonathan, and yeah, we'll make sure you have everything you need. It's pretty disadministrative before the meetings.
Okay. All right. Well, if that's the case, then I think we can move to adjourn. Anybody?
I move. Second.
Second? All in favor?